Okay. So I played a joke on my future mother-in-law because she just won't stop meddling with my stuff. I told her my engagement ring is actually cursed, like a literal curse put on by my grandma, and she's buying every bit of it. I'm female, 26, and just got engaged. My soon-to-be mother-in-law is a nightmare. We are currently renovating a part of our place, and she's been lent a key in the meantime because she keeps coming over uninvited, under the guise of helping clean up, but she really just comes to snoop and interfere. I do martial arts and take my engagement ring off before class. I came home from an afternoon class one day, and my engagement ring was not in the jewelry dish that I usually leave it in. I asked her about it, and she told me she's taken it to a jeweler to get it cleaned. She looked super smug about it, and when I asked which jeweler, she pretended she could not remember. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of having a reaction, so I just let it slide for a couple of days. A couple of days pass, and I ask her about it again, and she's super vague, still pretending she can't remember which jewelry and saying she's too busy to go pick it up anytime soon. So I said, "Oh, wow, I really feel for that jeweler. I hope nothing happens to her." She asked what I meant, and I told her that my superstitious Brazilian grandmother had performed some traditional ritual on it, and that's usually known to curse anyone who takes or handles the ring, other than the rightful owner. She looked uneasy, like she was going to throw up, and asked me a couple more questions about said ritual, and I made some story up about how my mother's ring had been taken by a burglar who was crushed by a pillar of cement on his way out of the house. I totally made this entire ritual up off the top of my head. And well, I do have a Brazilian grandmother, but obviously she didn't do some voodoo ritual on my ring. The next day, my fiancée told me, while I was out, that she was going to clean up a bit. Well, lo and behold, I get home, she's gone, and my ring is just where I left it. And guess what? It did not look any more cleaner than when I had it before. A week later, I received an abusive call from her saying she's been in a minor car accident and she was blaming me and my witch doctor grandmother, saying she's now cursed for having touched it. I just passed the phone to my fiancé, who tried to calm her down, but she was hysterical. I told my fiancé what I had told her, and he scolded me a bit because we both know how she is, and I should have known she'd react this way. Well, it's been a further week since then, and she refuses to talk to me, just keeps slandering me to my fiancé. Overall, he sort of recognizes how ridiculous she's being, but the drama of the situation is making me wonder if the whole cursed tale was taking it a bit too far. So guys, am I the a-hole in this situation? Okay, it's time for a similar story comment. This one comes about a curse as well, so let's read it. Hey, when my mom was pregnant with me, she, quote, cursed my dad with constipation. I don't remember exactly what he did to deserve such a curse, but I do remember hearing that the curse worked very well, LMAO. A little backstory. While I try not to go too much information, my dad has what he considers to be a very normal digestive system, but personally, I think something's wrong with him, and it's very overactive. He uses the bathroom at minimum 3 times every single day. He's the person that literally will stand up from the dinner table and immediately walk to the bathroom. Sometimes during big meals like Thanksgiving, he has to take a break in between plates to go. If he goes more than 2 days without, quote, going, he ends up miserable and says that he's in terrible pain. So, I don't know. Whatever happened when she was pregnant, she cursed him with constipation. Curses are no joke. Guys, that's an interesting little funny side story that goes along with the story that we read. Let me know if you've had any interactions with someone cursing something that you've done. And we'll look at the next story. Entitled Mother Calls Police on Me, My Neighbors, and My Family. First thing I need to say, I'm a 21-year-old trans woman, and my neighbor and grandpa are 73 years old. Grandpa has major problems with sleeping, so on Wednesday 2 weeks ago, when winter came with full power to our country and covered everything in snow, my grandpa went out and decided to shovel the snow that's fallen on the sidewalk in front of the neighbor's house. This neighbor is awesome, almost 90-year-old lady, and it was 6 a.m. when he got here, and started to clean the sidewalk. He only shoveled the snow from 2 meters distance on the sidewalk when entitled Karen runs from her house and starts screaming at him because, in her opinion, he was disturbing the silence. My grandpa's almost deaf. He didn't even like when someone screamed at him for no reason, so he ignored her and went back to dealing with the snow. Karen realized that he's not listening to her screaming, so she decided to kick my grandpa. Of course, she did not calculate when is a good moment to kick someone, and kicked him right when the shovel was reached to the point zero in air. That caused my grandpa to drop the shovel, and the shovel flew back right into this Karen's face. She screamed, and some bad words were yelled at him, and then she got back to the house and my granddad just finished the job. Come back home and told us exactly what happened, which I just told y'all. We laughed, and after that, we went straight to my parking spot to move my car. Because our different neighbor, let's call him Steve, wanted to reverse his wrecker to garage, next to place where my car is, and old Citroen Piscasso was parked there. Right here, I needed to say that my car was rear-ended just a few days earlier, and it won't move very fast, due to the locked rear wheels, destroyed bearings when rear-ended. So Steve decided to help me with the Citroen. He attached the car to the tree, and the rear to his wrecker. A few pulls and an egg-shaped car was in way better condition. But while we were doing this, we shaked a lot of snow and ice from the tree, and most of it landed on old power lines running on the opposite side of the small garage drive street. It was a power line that goes to the new house 100 meters away. But the house burned down 5 years ago, and now there's just an empty space. We didn't care about it so much, like everybody in the neighborhood. But not Karen. She was walking with her kid down the road when we were force-fixing my Citroen. Her kid is adopted 6-year-old, and I know from this lady who lives next to Karen that Karen screams every day at her daughter for every reason you can think of. Karen saw us, and what does she do best? She starts screaming that we cut her electricity off and we're not supposed to be here because it's, quote, private property, and we're trespassing and stealing things from the garage. She also called me a criminal, and because of the stress she induced on me, my voice lowered into something that's just deep, and tried to attack me, but for self-defense I fired on her from fire extinguisher I took from the car. Steve was so mad after the day and broke a winch on his wrecker. Told her to duck off. And that makes Karen lose control. She takes out a wrench that was lying on the wrecker's windshield, causing it to break. Then she takes her kid and runs away. 3 days later, I was woken up at 7 a.m. by someone who was ringing our doorbell. I look through the window and see a black Kia Ceed idling on neighbor's driveway with blue lights on. I realized that those two men are police officers, so I opened up the window and asked who they're looking for. They were looking for Steve, my grandpa, and me. I've called Steve while walking to the door, and he came to our house 20 minutes later. We all tell police what happened. I showed the policeman the recording from the camera mounted above the parking spot, and they asked to bring it with them on Monday, so we went to the police station and filed a complaint on Karen. After 2 weeks, I got notified that Karen got charged for breaking in, theft, assault, and damaging property. She connected her home to the old power line because she did not want to pay for energy, and ice falling from a shaken tree cut her house out. I was shocked that her fingerprints was found 6 months earlier, when someone broke into my car and stole a lot of valuable stuff. I don't know what happened to her kid, but I have hope that she got a better family. This was a classic case of karma. This Karen wanted to be so overbearing, she ended up involving the police in a situation that was none of her business. And guess what? The police flipped the script on her. She's been stealing electricity and she's not getting away with it any longer. Let me know your thoughts or if you've had any entitled Karen stories you want to share. Guys, one time, if you do want to support me, the best way to do it is so simple. Just go to my description right below and follow my new Instagram channel and subscribe to my YouTube channels. That's it. Super easy, right? Guys, I still have one more story for you today, and things are about to get insane. Family's lake house looks like it was robbed. That's only the beginning of this tale. So, my mother has a house. It's been in our family for almost 100 years. Never had a mortgage, never had home equity, anything. Even mom up to date on property taxes, no tax sale, nothing. I went out to the lake house to get some of my stuff. While maintaining it year-round, grass, weeds, etc., it's a summer lake house and we use it for storage. When I entered the house, it looked like someone had broke in. So I asked a neighbor. She said the bank took it, and so here we are. I called and filed a police report of all stolen items that I'm assuming the people the bank hired took. The police officer is to call my mom tomorrow after he figures out what he can. He informed my mom there's a law where if you care for a property more than 30 days, you can lay claim to the property. However, my mom had hired a guy to take care of property, and the bank vendors turned him away. My neighbor says they entered with a key, and I can still get in with mine. I'm the sole person with a key. My mom doesn't even have one. How is all this possible? The officer told us to be sure we aren't charged with trespassing to not come back. However, he left me to get all my stuff. My mom got no notice, no legal transfer, nothing. How is any of this legal? Can someone explain, or what do we need to do? Also, I asked my mom to run a credit check. She says she already has credit monitoring set up and gets daily notifications. Nothing weird has been reported to her credit, no equities or the like. Mini update. Sergeant is coming to take my mom's statement today. We're waiting. They spoke on the phone for at least an hour. He pulled up her deed while on the phone and said he sees no cases for a lien or foreclosure. He's stumped, but he's working. He's going to call security company. Again, cannot reach the bank until Tuesday. Hey guys, Mr. Reddito here. I hope you're enjoying today's content. I do have 2 updates for this story. They're not that big, but it basically wraps up the whole story. If you're not subscribed, guys, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and follow my Instagram you can find in the description. Let's jump into update number 2, May 26, 2020. My mother got a hold of the bank today, who said they had no record of the address in their system. However, they did have completely different lake house in their system. They said they had no financial interest in the house at all. They directed her to the real estate company in the county he said he hasn't had a house at in many years. She then contacted the property preservation company that secured the house. Well, the CSR got very frantic, asking for the burglary report case number, and again told her someone would call her ASAP. She also started our address and said that it's not in their system at all. So, she hired a locksmith at the direction of her attorney, and we went out there and placed warnings and changed the locks. The locksmith has informed us that they actually didn't have a key as previously stated. I was the only one with a key. And they credit carded the door and replaced the lock in the back and just said duck it and came in the front door. Neighbors took pictures of our license plates but did not call the police, so I'm in fear something bigger is going on. But now it's just up to the DA to find someone to press charges against any civil court for emotional damage and loss of truly invaluable things that they stole while, quote, renovating. Hey guys, once again, Mr. Reddito here. So it seems some funny business is going on. Well, it turns out it took a couple months, but OP finally posted one final update, and it starts by saying, the detective solved the case. Guys, sorry it took so long for the update, but the detective solved the case. Property preservation companies claiming full responsibility. They had the wrong house. None of the houses they owned out there had a lot of numbers on them in their system, so they just assumed and went with it. Yes, my mom's in contact with her Addie before she settles. There's so much more that goes into this than just $30,000 worth of missing stuff. She asked if the DA is going to take the case, and he said they could, but he advised her to contact her attorney Monday before making that decision. The Lake Association had their monthly meeting, at which time the president informed everyone that no trespassing signs weren't real. So my take on the neighbors is they're just a-holes. But the detective called and talked to her, and I'm sure they're aware now. I'm just ready for it all to be over, and I appreciate the amount of notice this has gotten. My family is very impressed with everybody who helped in the comment section. Thank you. So, a lot of commenters are just saying, hey, this situation just sucked. Here's one of the main comments that got a lot of attention. I'm glad that finally got resolved. But what an unnecessarily stressful situation that the company caused through basic incompetence. I would be relieved but also extremely angry at them about it. In addition to the missing items, if I were OP, I hope there's a great settlement along the lines. It was good to see such well-considered and informed advice in the comments also. Thank you guys for sharing this story. So let me know what you would do if you were ever in this unique situation. I think the first thought was, first of all, it's extremely scary to know that your house was broken into, and nobody's really giving you any information about it. Let me know what you would have done if you would have done it any differently than OP. So guys, drop your thoughts. Thank you once again for tuning in. Mr. Redito is wrapping this episode up, but I'll catch you in the next one.